was pretty disgusted at Chris Christie and his racist comment towards Vivek Ramaswamy, where he was like the only skinny guy. What did he say? He was comparing him to Obama. Yeah. I honestly thought that was pretty racist.
I know what you're thinking. That's got to be a doctored video or like an AI spoof. No, you heard that right. Marjorie Taylor Greene, out of all people, complaining, whining about a comment Chris Christie made towards Vivek Ramaswamy as being racist is hella rich.
These are terrorists. These are criminals. They're people that pour out of jails and mental hospitals in foreign countries. They're people here coming to compete with Americans for jobs. They are people bringing in diseases, all kinds of diseases.
If you try to illegally enter another country's border, and many of these countries will shoot you if you try to come in illegally. But not the United States. No, everyone's welcome here because they're asylum seekers. If I were black people today and I walked by one of those statues, I would be so proud because I'd say, look how far I have come in this country. Look how far my people what they have overcome. I know a ton of white people that are as lazy and sorry and probably worse than black people I know. And I would not hire them because they're lazy and they're sorry and they're pathetic. I'm going to stand up for white males here. The most mistreated group of people in the United States today are white males. They are blamed for everything. They're the scapegoat. Everything bad in America is because of white men.
What in the world? If you had a scale to judge how racist and xenophobic those comments were from Marjorie from 1 to 10, they would be all the way up at 10. No question. And the whole notion that white men are the most mistreated people in America these days, there's a scapegoat for everything. Be for real, Marjorie. People who have some sort of intelligence know that white men still dominate America. They still control so much of our society. They are not victims whatsoever. But the sad thing is, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a perfect example of what a large portion of the Republican voter base want to hear from our elected officials, in addition to the policies that MTG and like-minded people advocate for. And here's the thing, Marjorie's racist beliefs, they go much deeper than that.
And we love to get to know her much better. I think this is going to be the beginning of something great. The representative from Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Becomes a party that actually does the things we say we're about, then we are going to be a party for nationalism. Isn't that right? So you see, I also call myself a Christian nationalist, and that's not a bad word. That's actually a good thing, right? And I believe that Republicans need to prove to the American people that we are the party of American nationalism and Christian nationalism. I'm a Christian. I have no problem saying I'm a Christian nationalist. Those are the policies that serve every single American, regardless of how they vote.
That's some real scary rhetoric right there, and it just shows you how dangerous the intersection of politics and evangelical Christianity is, specifically with the Republican Party, because the inherently political motivations that evangelical Christians use when they're perverting the Bible, perverting the Lord's words, taking them out of context and using it for their own agenda, it only gives power and more influence for white nationalists and white supremacist ideas to not only live in America, but to thrive. Like, if somebody says, I am a Christian nationalist, and I'm proud of that, they might as well be calling themselves a white supremacist. Looking at it from a big picture perspective, one of the most lethal things the Republican Party does is use the pillars of right-wing politics, religion, and capitalism to advocate for policies that are going to, guess what, harm most of their voters. Yet they're still able to convince those people to vote for them. Why? Because they play on their emotions and they use fear-mongering tactics to get on their side. That's why you hear so much rhetoric from them saying, yeah, we don't want these immigrants coming in, stealing our jobs, they're criminals, they're terrorists. We don't want Muslims finding places in our government, positions of power, because they're not Christians. Oh, we don't want black people getting jobs because they're lazy and they just want handouts. And what's fascinating about that part, with the social class dynamic, according to a Census Bureau survey from 2020, non-Hispanic white adults made up 44.6% of adult SNAP recipients, otherwise known as food stamps, and 31.5% of child recipients. So yeah, you're going to screw yourself over because of your racism, your Islamophobia, and a whole bunch of other nasty messages and beliefs that you have. But the Republican Party does not care about the poor people. The Republican Party does not care about you getting health care for poor people. They care about the rich getting wealthier. And and living lavishly, while the rest of us suffer for decades and decades and decades, which turn into centuries. But yeah, that's what happens. It's really sad. For Rebel HQ, I'm Chris Williamson. We'll see you next time.